Happy Sunday, everybody. Great to see everybody. I introduce you to Megan Slankard, our featured guest today.
I had made many records before, some of them self-produced, some of them with other producers, but I was always being represented in this way where people saw the folk songwriter in me or the pop artist in me. And so I needed somebody who would listen to what I wanted. I want you to look into my brain and take out all of these ideas and make it cohesive and sound like music.
Often encourage people to basically just rip off stuff because as it transfers through your body, it always comes out different.
It was the first time I'd worked with somebody who was like, let's literally deconstruct everything about this song and just see where we can go with it. And I got pushed in a way that I had never really been pushed by a producer, certainly.
Everything is you're sampling parts and little tastes from like the entire plate, which is the whole band. And so and any instrument at any point could be playing the melody.
You know, recording, producing, blah, 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 watching you. But like as a songwriter, I learned from this session.
I've been in bands where I wasn't the writer and I was the drummer. And so I had to like protect my drum parts because that was my only means of expression. And we carved out his part. So he was like kind of only playing like one note every, it was like one note, measure, rest, a couple more notes, and it would just, but it was like, the process doesn't always look linear. And right before it's done, it might look the messiest. You're afraid to be caught with your pants down at any time or afraid to not know what's going to happen. So you plan everything out. And, but that like puts a cap on what can happen.
There were a lot of times where, we had a general list, but there were a lot of times where we would just pause. We would just break down the whole day and be like, we need to chase this idea that came up. What if we did this? Just be prepared.
Here's the spreadsheet of the record.
Oh my God.
This is the way that my brain wraps around an album. My favorite, listening with your body, I think it was a big part of when you're talking about these drum sounds. It's like it's not just what your ears are hearing, but it's like, all right, am I feeling it where I need to feel it in my body? Am I feeling that snare in my internal organs the way that it's supposed to feel? This particular emotion of this song, what is the exact sound that we want? Is it even a drum kit? Is it a suit of armor? All right, so here's the night. I wanted to play up that feral, a little bit wildness of the song. And so the sounds that we chose for that became things that were very, like whacking on a suit of armor and just hearing like the metal resonate. Vocal interplay, there's a lot of like question and answer going on. And that was something that was really cool to try to like kind of like emphasize in all the other parts. So here's the question. And here's the answer. Aware of the current landscape of when you're releasing music and at least have like a nod to it in some way, add to the conversation of what's going on. So that is really like a like an air raid siren or something. I think our brains are so smart in that when we hear a sound that we recognize, it's almost like you immediately sort it and you put it into a category. experience before that was super negative. It was me. I was in a band that was signed to Epic Records for a couple of years. I was the drummer. I was not the writer. And we did this major label record with this super expensive producer in a super expensive studio. And it was like this sort of traumatic experience because he was a talented engineer, but in my opinion now, he was a shitty producer. He did not have the ability to, he didn't have the psychology part. And I actually think a lot about working with him when I do projects because I try to do the exact opposite of what he did. I was dragged kicking and screaming to engineering because I was a writer, I was a songwriter and a musician, instrumentalist, and I didn't give a shit about engineering and like recording technique and stuff like that until all my stuff just sounded bad. I will just add though to that is that sometimes you don't get it right and you have to start over completely.
Maybe a couple times.
And that sucks, but you also have to be honest with yourself that like even though you have come this far and invested X amount of time or you've recorded these things, if it's not working, it's not working.